Welcome everybody, this is Edgardo Balentine.
And this is Scott DiGregorio, and welcome to the Real Estate of Tomorrow podcast, where we're going to discuss the rapidly changing landscape of the real estate industry.
And the steps that you need to take today in order to survive tomorrow.
Look, I'm going to give you the perspective of a 25-year veteran, somebody who has been there and done that.
With Jesus life for all part, okay?
That's for you, man.
Look, I'm going to give you a fresh perspective from somebody that's applying those steps today.
So that basically means you're young and you don't know shit.
All right, let's get this started. All right, everybody, welcome to the Real Estate of Tomorrow podcast. This is Edgardo Balentine, and I'm here with
Scott DiGregorio, as always. What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? Look, I am extremely excited about this one because this is one of those podcasts that are 100% actionable. This is something that it's new to our practices. This is something that we didn't have before, but that now we can take advantage of now that we are with the new company. And we'll talk all about that at some point, I'm sure. But this is something that we're excited because we're implementing, and we're excited because it really addresses something that it's a big problem right now.
It's a huge problem right now, and it's something that every listener is dealing with. Probably with multiple people, and this is a layup solution, but we're going to do the format a little differently this time.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask a bunch of questions, a lot of the questions that we get asked, and I want you to be able to answer the questions that we get asked by your clients and really explain why the program works, not just for us as professionals, but for an actual seller and buyer of a house.
Yes.
And look, just to set it up, we talk all the time and we complain all the time about the fact that there's an inventory crisis. And if you listen to our last episode, we're talking about, prices are going up, but the inventory crisis is bad. And there's a lot less houses for sale than buyers and blah, 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 blah. And if you talk to any realtor right now, and if you're a realtor out there, it's extremely hard to get listings. You can't get anybody to sell the house because the main question is, well, yeah, sure, I want to sell the house, take advantage of this market, but where do I go? There's no houses for sale. There's no houses for sale right now. So this is a way that we can literally all together solve this inventory crisis.
Yeah, this absolutely takes a dent, or makes a dent in the inventory crisis. And the way we're going to do it is that Edgardo's going to pretend he's a seller, and he's coming to me for financing. We're just going to role play this whole thing, and we're doing it this way because this is a program that has lots and lots of questions, and we want to just take you through that whole process and hopefully answer every question that crosses your mind. So let's begin, Ed.
Yeah. So just by the way, I'm not gonna act too well here. I only role play with the wife, so let's take it easy here.
All right, we'll go nice and slow. So Ed, hey, look, thanks for coming in. I don't see the qualifications as a problem. I've looked at your financials and everything else, but my question is the timing of things. I know you mentioned you want to sell the house that you're currently in, and you want to buy another one. Unfortunately, though, you don't qualify with both mortgage payments at the same time. Okay,
so again, taking me out of the role play situation. Normally, what I would do is I would say, I'm going to put my house for sale, right? And I would just hope to either sell it right before or at the same time, because I understand that that's something that's doable.
Absolutely. So what you would do in this situation most likely is go, okay, great, what are my options?
That's right.
And basically, I would say, look, in a normal market, you do what's called a SIMO, right? Like a simultaneous close, where you sell and buy simultaneously. You put in an offer that is contingent on the sale of your home, or you sell your house and then buy something right afterwards. And what I've always, historically, the way it works is I used to tell people that neither are ideal, because if you sell your house first, you might end up settling on what you're buying. And if you buy the new house first, you might end up settling on the sale price that you accept for the current home.
Not to mention, right now, if you put an offer that's contingent upon the sale of your house, that honestly, that has any contingencies, you're not going to get the offer. At least you're not going to get it at the right price.
Exactly. So now if we fast forward to today's market in 2022, neither of those options work.
Okay, so as a seller with the intention of buying, what's my options?
Okay, so here's what we could do, okay? We work with a company called Revive, okay? And what Revive does is they will help you in buying your next house. And the way it works is this. They have to make sure you have sufficient equity in your current home, which I've looked at it, you do. But then you go out, you work with your agent, you pick out a home. The Revive, this company...
Stop 1 second.
Okay.
I think it's worth mentioning. You work with your agent,
Yeah.
right? We're not sidestepping any agents.
Oh, gosh, no.
If you're an agent listening to this right now and you're thinking, holy moly, that's another iBuyer program that's going to try to take my business.
Not even close.
Okay.
A realtor is absolutely needed in this whole process.
Perfect. All right,
so
continue.
you and your agent go out, you look around, I like that house. Okay. Revive goes, puts in an offer on that house, an all cash offer that'll close in 15 days. Okay, so now Revive owns this home, but before they close, you're going to sign paperwork with them, Ed. Okay, you're going to sign an option agreement to buy the house within 4 months, and you're going to sign a rent agreement where you're going to pay them market rent. So they move in, so they buy this house, they close on it in 15 days, you move in, you start paying them rent, and you have 4 months to sell your departing residence and pay Revive back, okay? Revive is going to sell you back that house for what they paid for it, plus their fee of, we get a discount, but the standard fee is 3%.
All right, we get a discount. I know he's being really, really humble here and not talking about that. What he means is if you get the loan through us, you get a little discount. Okay?
That is what I mean.
That's what he means. So again, going back to this, what you're saying is this is going to basically buy me 4 months to sell the house in this market, and as a buyer, I don't have to put an offer with the contingency of me selling my home.
It's a cash offer.
It's a cash offer.
Cash offer.
So it's even better than just my regular mortgage offer.
Oh, it's way better. And look, you know, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but okay, that sounds great. The 3% or the 2.7% or whatever it is fee, how do you justify that, Scott?
Look, there's a couple things. First off, this is an anecdotal answer because to have a mathematical answer, you'd have to get inside the seller's head. That's not going to happen. But there's 2 things to think about. Number one, what is your increased negotiating position being a cash buyer?
Well, think about this as a listener, as a realtor. You know, again, this is going to be an anecdotal answer, but if you're a listing agent and you get 1 cash offer versus 1 offer that's not only not cash, but it's also contingent upon the sale of that person's home, which one would you pick? Same offer, same everything, same price.
There's no way. The contingent offer would have to be dramatically higher to offset the perceived risk. So that's the first thing, is you have the negotiating position of a cash offer. Furthermore, you have the increased opportunity for your offer to get accepted. And third, you're in a market that most of America is appreciating at least 1% per month. So after 3 months, you've broken even. By the time you execute that option, you've probably broken even already.
And the missed opportunity of, if I have 30 days to sell my house, I need to get whatever offer is going to make it to that time.
Absolutely.
If I have 4 months to sell my house, I'm going to get the best offer I get in 4 months. And look, to say that again, the best offer that I can get in 30 days, it's probably not as good as the best offer that I can get in 4 months.
It's 100%. It gives you a great opportunity to maximize it. Now, during that time, you're paying rent on the house that you're in.
Okay.
And you still have a mortgage payment on your current house. So that has to be factored in. And Revive does that intentionally because they don't want you dragging your feet. Revive has no interest in owning real estate. Revive is 100% interested in making their fee as quickly as possible and moving on. So,
okay, again, as a realtor, do I get caught out on the sale of this house? Do I get caught out on the purchase of this house?
All Revive does is provide the cash to buy the house and then sells it back to the realtor's client.
So if I'm a realtor, I make my commission on the purchase and I make my commission on my sale.
Absolutely. And the other part of it, that the other program that Revive offers, makes it even better than that.
Okay, well, let me throw you a curveball.
Go ahead.
Let's say you as an agent tell me that, if I'm a seller, in order to sell my house, I need to do a couple of things to my home. But I like your program. The problem is, my friend, I can't afford rent, my mortgage, and to make those modifications to my house.
Well, it's a common situation, and that's the other program that Revive offers. Revive offers another program that's designed to maximize the sale price of your current house, and this is how they do that part. Okay, what they'll do again in conjunction with your agent. The reason why the agent's so critical is Revive does not pretend to have in-depth market knowledge of every market in America. That's kind of ridiculous. Zillow tries that. So what they do is Revive will actually send a team, like a Matterport camera, okay? For those of you that don't know, think of Google Earth, right? Where you could like take a step, then look around 360, then take a step. That's a Matterport camera.
It's from the future.
So they could take a Matterport camera, they send it to your house, and do a full survey of the house. And then they work with your agent and their team of experts to decide, hey, here's the work that could be done to the house. Let's say it costs $20,000. And based on our experts and your real estate agent, we feel that could raise the price of your house by $40,000. So you get a $20,000 ROI. But like you said, you don't have the 20 grand to do the work. Revive will actually provide the 20 grand. And here's the beautiful part. When the house sells, you pay them back $20,000, not a nickel more.
How do they make their money?
They make their money off the contractors.
What do you mean? Explain that a little bit.
You do have to use their contractors, and or at least even if you have your own contractors, they got to agree. Revive will they will not allow the contractors to like kind of jack up the price, but they're going to ask the contractors to work for a little bit, and they're going to take a cut of that work.
Okay.
So you pay $20,000, maybe they make $2,000 off it or $3,000 off. The contractors get the work. They do a little bit, they make a little bit less money, but now they have this Revive company constantly feeding business to them. And that's the incentive. It's kind of like the referral thing that we talked about in a couple episodes ago.
So what you're saying is, if I'm a seller, I can put an offer that's cash on the house that I want.
Absolutely.
That's no contingent on the sale of my house. Mm-hmm. I buy time on me selling the house. Mm-hmm. And if I want to, if I choose to, I can make the improvements that are advised for me to make in order to sell my house for more money and profit more of that.
Yeah, and you're not living in a house when that work's being done. And I don't know if you've ever lived in a house under construction, but it super sucks. And from a real estate agent standpoint,
Super sucks.
from a real estate agent standpoint, not only are you introducing an amazing suite of tools, you're making a few extra bucks, which is never a bad thing. So what do you have for objections? Put on your buyer's hat, Ed, and your realtor's hat, I don't care.
Or my seller's hat.
Or your seller's hat. And try to pick it apart.
The only thing I can think of is, and I know we touched on this before, but is at the end of the day, if I am a buyer, I don't pay the real estate commission, right? So that's free. But if I pay the sales commission, it's 6%. Let's say I'm a good person and it's 6%. Plus, let's say another 3% that I have to pay to Revive. So for the full thing, I'm paying 9%. How does that make sense?
So the 6% for the real estate commission is what it is. Okay, let's assume that you've agreed to work with the agent. That's just the commission, right? That's just what it takes. The 3%,
so that doesn't come into the equation.
To me, that's
a wash.
Yeah, to me that's nothing because it's not. The Revive program has nothing to do with that. You and your realtor work out whatever the heck you guys want.
But wait, just a parenthesis for me as a buyer or seller or whatever. That's important to address.
100%.
It's very important to address because it's very easy for the seller or buyer or whatever to think, well, this is costing me 9%. Well, wait a second. It's not costing you 9%. The price of this is 30%. And so, okay, so it's 3%. How do you justify that?
Well,
it's a lot of money, right? I mean, you're thinking about a $600,000 property. It's $18,000. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is not.
I'd rather keep $18,000, Scott.
I much rather, but we're not. The comparison should not be $18,000 versus nothing. The comparison should be $18,000 versus what you're going to have to pay for that house to get your offers accepted, which is probably a lot more than $18,000. So maybe now instead of offering $600 as a cash buyer, maybe you're offering $625 or $640 as a financed offer or a contingent offer. And that's assuming they accept those offers, which statistically doesn't work in your favor. So now,
and that's assuming that it goes well too.
Right.
That the financing for the sale of my home goes well, that the inspections go well, that
the appraisal comes back.
that somebody that I do not control at all doesn't mess up.
Right.
Because that's the other thing, is the risk factor.
Absolutely. So there's two comparison points. One, the $18,000 versus the amount of money you're going to have to pay at a higher sales price. In my example, 25 or 40 grand. That's the other one. Here's the other question I want to ask you, Ed. What is the price of not getting the house you want? What is the price of looking around for a house for 3 to 6 months in a market that goes up just over 1% a month? What is the price of the stress that all of this is going to cause you, your spouse, your children? The easy comparison is 3% versus 0, but that's not reality. The 0 is not actually an option on the table. Like, we do this all the time with people when they're trying to compare buy versus rent. You can't compare what they're going to buy to what they're currently renting. They're looking to buy because what they're currently renting isn't meeting their needs. You got to compare what they're going to buy versus what they will be renting if they don't buy. Okay, so if you don't buy a house, you're going to move out of your rental. What are you going to move into, and what is that rent going to cost? And that is the proper comparison point, because otherwise it's apples and oranges, and we need to do apples to apples. So when you start looking at it like that, it makes a lot of sense. Now, do some people go, screw that, it's not worth it? Yes, but a lot of times it's not a matter of whether or not the program closes the deal. It's a matter of whether or not the program gives you the opportunity to have the conversation with the client and the option to serve them, where otherwise you wouldn't have, because you're talking about what every other real estate agent out there talks about.
And that's the punchline. At the end of the day, it's about giving solutions to our clients. Whether they take them, whether they don't take it, that's one thing. But look, if you go to a listing presentation and you know that the person doesn't have their financing or their purchase set up completely independent of the sale of their house, and you bring them something like this will make you completely different than any other agent out there. For you to introduce the concept like this and for you to be able to explain it, whether the client likes it or not, it completely separates you from the competition. And I think that's what matters the most. Now, ultimately, things like this, they're going to be the client's choice. Honestly, Scott, if it was me selling the house, I would totally be all over this. Because of just, if I end up spending 2% more, 3% more, even if there's no savings, real savings, just the peace of mind that would give me is completely worth it, right? Especially in a market where if you're selling your house today, a house that you bought 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you've made more than your fair share of investment or of ROI, okay?
Look, I think back to when I bought my house, okay? So, 9 years ago now I bought my house. And I paid $275 for the house, and the home inspection came back rather shockingly with about $40,000 worth of repairs. Now, 20 of that was the roof, which I knew when I first looked at the house. I didn't think about that because I knew that. The other 20,000 surprised me, and 9 years ago in 2013, the market was hot. Like, things were going. There was bidding wars. In fact, I saw the house and wrote an offer, like a written offer on the hood of my agent's car.
Wow.
Okay, like old school. And anyway, and so this thing comes back, and I call up the seller. There was an agent involved, but the seller and I ended up talking. And I said, listen, man, I'm a reasonable guy. I'm not greedy. We got 20 grand to work with. Let's just, you and I split it 10 apiece. We're all going to move on in life. And the seller said, Scott, I got 3 people that call me every single week asking me if you've backed out of the deal or not so they could buy it for more money. So how about I don't give you a penny, but I'll happily give you back your earnest money deposit unless you find another house. And it's funny, man. You give advice to people as a professional, but then when you're in the middle of it, emotions kick in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, screw him. That's bullshit. That's ridiculous. That's not fair. And my wife sat me down and said, hun, why are we moving into this house? I said, because of the neighborhood. Why are we moving into the neighborhood? Because it's going to give our children the childhood we want them to have. And she goes, right. So 5, 10, 20 years from now, are we going to think about the fact that we had to have the house replumbed? Or are we going to think about the fact that we gave our children the household they want, the childhood they want, that we want to give them? And I was like, oh, it's so annoying. You're so right. I called the seller up. I said, look, don't worry about it. I'll cover everything. Writing the check wasn't fun.
Sure.
Okay. But now that house has more than doubled in value. 2 of my 3 kids are in college. I gave them the childhood I wanted. And the last thing I spend time thinking about now when I think about my house is the stupid plumbing and the other repairs I have to do. Who cares? And again, it's about framing things properly. So if you follow through all of our episodes, when we talk about having a deep dreams and goals call, when we really understand what's going on in a person's mind and their motivations and their intentions and their goals and how this home fits into it, that's what we got to focus on. And when we do that, we're serving the clients well. Now, we're not there to talk them into it. We're there to make sure that they are making a logical decision, whatever that is. Like the program, don't like the program. I don't care what the outcome is. But I want it to be logic-based, not emotion-based and fear-based.
I love it. I love it. And even though the conclusion of that story was very much emotional and it worked out and this is the reason why you bought it, at the end of the day, if you look at a spreadsheet approach too, from an investment perspective, those $10,000, I would put them over and over and over again because the ROI has been there. So again, guys, in a market like this, and we'll be talking about this specific market for the past 4 or 5 episodes, just because it's so relevant right now, having this type of conversations will set you apart. It's very hard for a real estate agent to get set apart immediately in their initial presentation, and this program does this. Yeah. So from a client's perspective, again, going back to the role playing, dude, I mean, honestly, besides the price, I can't think of any other objections. I mean, as a client, you're giving me the ability to buy a property cash, so have a very, very high competitive advantage. You're giving me time to sell a property in an extremely hot market, which is not a question of whether I'm going to sell it or not. It's a question of how much do I want to sell it for, because there's no other houses in the market. And you're also giving me the ability of saying, hey, if you want to repair the house to sell it for more, we will pay for that. I mean, I'm sorry, but what else is there? I know this whole thing was set up for me to be the client, but can you think of any other or any other pushback? Because I can't think of anything.
It's very hard to do. And by the way, here's a pro tip for everybody. Let's say you have somebody that comes to you and just buys a house. This isn't their situation. They qualified for a mortgage, they buy a house, whatever. All of a sudden now, this is a conversation you should be having with somebody in your post-closing call where you're setting this up for the next transaction.
Or for somebody that they know,
or for somebody
that's not in their situation. Somebody that they know, like, you can tell them, and it's very easy. It's, look, right now, not everybody's in your situation where you can buy and sell and do all these things. And I know that, you know, a lot of my clients are not in this situation. You're very lucky to be in that situation. But we have this program. We have the ability to help people like this. Do you know anybody that we can help like this? And, I mean, there's nothing like leading with value, and man, what a value to lead with in this market.
And what a differentiating factor. And the one thing we need to constantly do, look, moving forward, we believe this with all of our soul, okay? The real estate of tomorrow will be split into 2 categories. The cheapest, or those that are the cheapest, or those that provide the most value. That's it. Those are the 2 things. I don't know about you. I feel too good. Like, I'm too good to be the cheapest. I don't want to race to the bottom. So I am going out of my way to make sure that I provide the most value, not only to my clients, but also to the real estate partners and all the other partners that send business to me. So, guys, that's the program, man. I think it's badass.
Look, there's a lot to this program. There's, you know, signing up and doing all these things. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to not just send you the information, but get on a quick Zoom call with you guys, explain to you how the program works, again, more in depth for your particular situation, help you get signed up, and just help you on throughout the process. Because trust me, if you're not making this part of your listing presentation, if you are a leader in the industry and you're not giving the option to your agents under you to give this to their clients, you are losing deals left and right, whether you know it or not.
Send the email success@realestateoftomorrow.com. Guys, I think that's it, man. We'll see you 2 weeks later. Thank you so much for listening. As always, make sure every agent in your office knows that this is the best real estate podcast in America right now. Scott DiGregorio with Edgardo Balentine. See you in 2 weeks.
5-star reviews, okay? 5-star reviews.
Well, thank you guys for listening. And now it's your turn to implement everything you learned today.
Look, you have a question, you have a topic for a future episode?
Share with us.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing. What are you doing today so you could be successful tomorrow? Send us an email at success@realestateoftomorrow.com.
And don't forget to leave us a review, an honest review.
Screw an honest review. Leave us a 5-star review. And for every 5-star review we get, we're going to send you a badass real estate meme t-shirt.
Those shirts are hilarious.
See ya.